What's up guys, Prox here, and I am back with another video. Today we are going to be modeling the Scar H. And we're just going to be doing the base model. So we won't be doing any detailing or adding any of the features that includes the Picatinny rails or the reload mechanism. I thought I would do this one real time and actually comment real time, just as a different test. And as you can see, all you can see are the viewports. You cannot see any of my tools. Please tell me if you like this. Maybe you want to see all the tools. If you're unfamiliar with the interface of 3ds Max. So first off, I'm going to start by creating a plane in the left view. Right now I don't really care about the size. Take off the grid and brackets in this view right here, and I'm going to open the materials tab. Move it up here so you can see. And I'm going to create just a standard material. And I'm going to double click it and click on the diffuse toggles button, select bitmap, and find your reference. It's not there. I can't remember where I put it. Perhaps in here. There. Now what I usually do is I turn the glossiness down to 0. It doesn't really matter because speculation is at 1, but so this can just stay at 10 actually when I think about it. And self-illumination, just turn that right up. Sometimes that won't work, so then you just take it off if it gets all bland. And what I'll do is I'll basically just apply it and show it in the viewport. And of course the scale is all off. So I'll have to change the size of this to the size of the actual image. Which I can't remember what was. Where is it? There it is. Which is 3,800. Oh, 3,000. What the hell? 3,000. My number pad is not working. Oh, 883 was it? I think it was. By 1,132, I think it was. Yep, so now that should be to scale. I'm just going to take away the length segments and the height segments. As you can see, because this is self-illuminated, no matter how I turn it, I don't get any reflections. And the picture gets so blurry there because there is no anisotropic filtering in the viewport. Now you can also see that it's at the center of the scene, and some people like that. I don't usually, so I usually move it back a little bit, like so. And what I'll do is I freeze this and don't show as gray. Right. We don't have a lot of time, so I might have to cut this one short. It might not even be finished in this video. But I'll try my best to get it done. So have it show up in the left view right here. I want to turn off the grid. and we'll start out with a box. I think we're going to start out with the Picatinny rails and the upper part of the receiver. So what I'll basically just do is I'll draw out a box. Oh, the height got to 0, I don't want that. Turn off the... And oftentimes when working with a reference image, I love to have the ability to look through it. Now, one thing you can do, let me just close the material editor, is select your model and press Alt X, and it'll show you sort of a see-through thing. But this, if you have multiple surfaces layered on top of each other, like say this was hollow and there were polygons in the inside, this wouldn't work enough for me because the transparency adds, and all of a sudden you cannot see the picture even though you went into transparency mode. So then what you do then is that you create just a regular material. Doesn't matter the color. I like it gray, sometimes a little darker gray. It's just a preference. And then you just change the transparency of the texture. It's as simple as that. And you do that right here under opacity. You can scale it down, say 15%, and basically just apply the material here. So if I press Alt X now, as you can see, in fact, this is the fully visual mode. This is 15% opacity. This is the Alt X, basically X-ray mode. So here you can see that it's already a lot more transparent. Now you can just dial this up if you want it to be less transparent. So I'm gonna leave it at 50 for now. And I'm going to convert this to an editable poly, go into the perspective view, and as you can see, this is all flat. Just going to this part won't be to scale. It won't be accurate, the thickness of it, because I don't have a top view. I don't really know how thick it is. I'm just going to go by reference of what I know of some weapons, because I've never fired, I've never seen a Scar H in real life. I fired the M16, the M4, I fired the AK, I fired a lot of different guns, but never the Scar. So this is basically me. I'm not going to do any it's not going to be 100% accurate like the M416. And if you're wondering why that video is not up yet of the next part, it's basically just because I took my time with the stock, and I found I changed the stock a lot of times, the stock design that I liked. Now, as you can see, when we're going to be turbo smoothing this, if you're going to be turbo smoothing it later, the Picatinny rails is usually something that creates an issue. Basically because, you know, they are many. There are many polygons that'll be across, and it'll ruin it for the mesh down here. So I basically just created some lines that goes along these general surfaces. Now this is a curve spot, and I've only created a line where the curve starts. So I will now create a line at the middle of the curve, which I can see from the highlight is about there. So you can see there's a highlight going along the entire weapon. I wasn't quite satisfied with that, so I'll move it a little bit up to about there. And go out to the side. And basically scale these out to a point where I'm satisfied. Now I don't think this is thick enough, so I'm gonna make it a little bit thicker, just through and through. Yeah. And I like that curve. That looks okay. Now, up here, there's also a curve. It's a tiny curve, but it's a curve there. So what I would like to do here also is add another line. And I would like to move these down just a tad. These two lines right here. Now, if you watch different tutorials on YouTube, you can see that there are always many ways of doing stuff. Many ways of getting the same result or similar results. How you do stuff is all dependent on what you're trying to model for. What is the objective? What do you want to achieve? Do you want to achieve super realism? Do you want to achieve a game-like realism? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Now, if you're going for a game-like realism, there's a lot of stuff you can get away with. And in my eyes, it's always the more you can get away with, the better. But in my eyes, I always, for some reason, like to make stuff as real as possible. Like, I would make the Picatinny rails a part of the actual model. But if you have polygon limitations, that can be difficult sometimes, especially with models like this, where this is one piece, all of it. Now that looks okay. I'm kind of I'm satisfied with that. This is just a base model, what we're doing here. Now, as I can see here, this kind of curves. It doesn't curve in, it's more of an angle. So I'm going to chamfer the two bottom ones. Basically, or if I follow my form, I'll ring this and basically slide it down to the whereabouts. And here I can use the alt X just because I don't want to go in and change the opacity once again, because it'll be faster this way. Bring this down to about there. And then select the two bottom ones and scale them in, like so. Now, the detailing, the Picatinny rails, the reload handle, this is actually an ambidextrous gun, so you can dismount the reload handle from the right side, put it on the left side, keep it on the right side. Venting holes and the casing injection slot, we'll all do that later when we go into the detailing. This is just a base model. And since I have the upper receiver part basically completed as a base model, no detail, nothing, I think I'm going to make the Picatinny rails on the side here and the Picatinny rails on the bottom. So I'll go into the left view. I can probably just hide this model for now. And I'll go into tools here and create a box about this size. Now, the size doesn't really matter at first, so we unhide all just so we can see where this is placed, because always when you create a new object that is not aligned to something, it'll be at the center. So we're going to move it out and get some distance. So I'm looking for about this size. Go out of polygon mode, align it with the surface of the gun, almost the surface of the gun. And then I want to extrude it by, and these measurements aren't even correct. So I'll say 20 millimeters, which is 2 centimeters, and obviously this is a giant gun, but we'll get everything to scale later. We can scale stuff up and down later. And I'm going to ring this and connect it through the center. Go into vertex mode and scale. Oh, I don't want to scale it here. I want to scale it here. Because it's easier to see about 45 degrees angle, which is about the Picatinny rails. Now this, now this is a separate model. So modeling in the Picatinny rails here wouldn't really be an issue. And since it's a separate part, and I really want to show you how I usually model Picatinny rails, it's really simple. So I'm going to show you. Basically, I'm going to hide unselected. Oh, I guess it hides the freezed one. Hide selection. And I want to zoom in. Doesn't zoom in on that. That's weird. Yeah, there it goes. For some reason. They've changed the controls of 3ds Max with the newest 3ds Max version. And I want to go into Alt X mode. Now see, in the Alt X mode here, you cannot see through because the background is basically gray. Now the rendering, the new rendering engine for 3ds Max tries to compensate for this by reducing it a little bit more. But what I want to do is apply my transparent material to it, and I want to make the opacity, say 20%. Okay. And go out of Alt X mode. Now I can see through completely. Oh, I went out into expert mode there for a sec. So as you can see, these are evenly spaced except for at the end. So I'm going to connect once, move it to the end, and then I'm going to connect, and since these are evenly spaced, they should just about line up when I get to the correct number of spaces, which is 17. I accept some of them are a little bit off, but that's just because of the way pixels build themselves. Now if I go out here, go into the viewport, change my opacity back to 100%. You can see we all have it all lined up. Now there aren't any spaces in here, but that's basically just a simple delete maneuver. Now it's easier to do this from the top down. Select every other with a marquee selection. Go back out and delete them. That leaves you with the open spaces. Go into edge mode and select the edges both at bottom and top, every other, and click on bridge. Which should bridge them, but it doesn't for some reason. Annoying, annoying, annoying. Oh, I'm missing one. No, seriously. Well, since I can't do it that way, I'll just select all the borders and I'll cap them. So if you can't do something one way, you just gotta adapt and do it another way. And yeah, this will take a lot longer. It might be possible to do this and just click connect straight up. Sometimes that'll bug out, sometimes it won't. Yeah, that works just fine. Now it created a line through the middle there that I don't want, but that's just a simple selection of the lines through the middle. And remove. Like so. Now if we unhide all, you can see it nicely. Now, since we already have this model right here, and the bottom part is really relatively similar, we are going to copy this down, make a copy, not an instance, and I want to turn on angle snap, rotate it at 90 degrees, like so, go into the side view here, and move it into place, roughly in place. Now there is some extra parts here, and we can do the same here. We can copy it back and rotate it at 90 degrees. No, it's 180, of course. Silly me. See that it almost lines up. Move it back to about here. That's just about it. Delete the excess pieces. Select the first piece. Attach the second piece. And basically I just want to hide the unselected for this. Find the crease, which is basically here, as you can see. And yeah, sometimes this can be a little bit tedious, lining up two pieces like that. You can do it with the tool, but I can't be bothered. I cannot be bothered. So I'm just going to separate them a little bit and see what's missing and see what's not. It's basically just these polygons on the inside here that needs to be deleted. Simple as that. Select this piece again, move it closer. Let's get it as close as possible without actually doing it completely accurate with the tools. Just about there. Select the vertices in the middle and weld them. As you can see, the numbers are difference of 12, like so, and hide all. Now this part has sort of a curve to it after the Picatinny rails end, so that'll be an easy task to create. We'll just select all the top polygons like so. We'll extrude them to the height. Oh, that's basically perfect. And go out of polygon mode. Move it to the center of the gun. Now we should probably align this with the tool, but for the sake of showing you that everything can actually be done with eyesight, I'm just going to do it with eyesight. Scale it out. Create a second line, because it is a curve, not 17 but 1, and scale that one out to create a curve. Now, I think it's a little bit more curved than that. I think it's somewhere about there. Yeah. And as you can see here, there's sort of an extra surface that sticks right up. And this sort of crosses the line to detailing. Is it detailing? Is it not detailing? As you can see, the upper receiver has this kind of edge cut here, which stops just before it gets to this edge cut. So this part is actually a little bit taller. The curve has an extra lip to it, which I am not going to add now, because I'll do that later in a detailing video. Now I don't want this video to get too long, because I'm leaving and I don't have forever to upload. So I'm going to do my best as to keep it short. No, it'll get pretty long. It'll be a little over an hour long. If I get done before that, well then, whoop-de-doo, that's great. Now I think I want to start making the bottom receiver. This is going to be the most complex part. It's usually the most complex part when modeling, especially AR-15 based guns. Although this is not an AR-15 platform, it's similar to the AR-15 platform. Now here I am just going to look at the model just a little bit, look at what I need. There's some curves here, but it's fairly boxy. This part over the magazine is raised compared to the back end where the pistol grip is. Yeah, and this is basically a detailed part. Now, I can't really remember what the left side looks like, so I have an image here of the left side. It's not symmetrical, this gun, you see, but it's fairly symmetrical. If I can find it, there is an image. Yes. As you can see, the left side also has the detail. Here is the bolt release and the magazine release, which is not ambidextrous. Yeah, it is. It's ambidextrous as well. The magazine release is also ambidextrous. Pardon that. And it looks like the detailing around here is almost the same, except for this groove. Now, you can ask yourself, do you really want to spend time doing that, making those little cuts in? Is it worth it? Is it required for the project? Do you have a client that wants them or not? Personally, I would not add them, just to save time. Nobody's really going to notice. And if somebody notices and tells you, oh, blah, 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 then say it's a personal preference. I liked it better the other way. Saves you time. Time is of the essence. So, I think I'm going to start with a box right here. And basically cut it up to about there. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, about there. And convert it to an editable polygon. Roll this poly in. changed my mind on that part. Now creating curves like this that has a curve and a box shape all in the same object is something that just takes a lot of practice. If you can't do it the first time, basically just try again. There's nothing else you can do. Like you see there, I changed my mind once. I'm probably going to change it again later on. And it's kind of weird hearing me say that, and I'm probably going to change it later on again. It's like, what's the point of doing it? It's the learning process. I'm learning how the model looks and how the model works at the same time as I'm making it, basically. I mean, if I just knew how to do everything, models would be completed in basically no time, wouldn't they? And as soon as you start meddling with the vertices, you get inaccurate lines. And I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure what I want there. Yeah, but I think that's okay. That looks good. So what I'm doing now is that I'm basically just making this part curved, if you were wondering. Wasn't really talking much because when I'm working, you get kind of focused sometimes. Focused on the task at hand, which is a good thing, at least in my eyes. Now I'm making this a little too curved, to be honest, to my own personal preference. See, since this is actually a what is it now? It's a base model, that's what it is. It's a little too curved. That's a little too many polygons, but you know what? To hell with it. If it makes you feel better, make it more curved. Makes me feel better, so that's why I do it. Now this part I want to be more curved, so I'm going to add another here. Oh. Messed up with the key bindings there. Again, there. It's the rotate tool. Try and get it looking nice. Since it's just a base model, it's not that important. You're gonna fix all that later when when you start thinking about turbo smoothing and all that stuff, it's gonna be messed up and you're gonna be pissed. Basically, that's how it works. So the time is 1:28. Got about half an hour before I need to start rendering. And what I'm doing now is I'm making this edge bulge out right here. And keep looking at the gun. Basically what I see is that this goes out like that, but this entire thing is a little smaller. Perhaps like so. This came in line just nicely to line up with the big curve that I'm getting here. Now, I'm not sure how I want to make the big curve yet. Since this is a bigger curve than on the AR platform, I'm basically going to do a two-step extrude. One for the curve and one for the nub. So I put this up like so, and then I extrude this once more like so. Now you can do the same thing here if you feel like it. I'm not sure if I feel like it. There's going to be a circular shape here, and having a square is always nice when you're making circular shapes, so don't bother with that part. And make another extrude. Now what I notice here is that it goes a little up into this, as you can see, but that's something that I would consider a detailed part, but it actually affects the modeling later. So I'm going to have to be more accurate with that part. Do the connection again. Of course, these will make trouble, won't they? But this part needs to be pushed up just the slightest. Pull them out a little bit. And the curved part here makes for an interesting exit. Extrude it a tiny bit. Just a whimsical tiny bit. Extrude it again. Move this up just a little. It's gonna be a tight squeeze. Move this up here. And then select that. Move it down so you see this lines up. This is what I meant about a tight squeeze. Could of course avoided this curve. But no, I'll keep it in there. I'm going to have to extrude it once more. Pull it to the edges. Oh, my phone is ringing. Hold on. Hallo? Opptatt. Ja. Ringer jeg tilbake igjen litt. Ja. Sorry about that. There we go. So, and now that we're closing to the end of this bottom receiver part, you kind of start to think of what is the next piece you want to do. And I probably want to finish off this and make the pistol grip. And box modeling, you know, blocking out, it's usually, it's something that I enjoy for the most part. It can be a little bit annoying because the model doesn't look great. You know, I always like to model and have it look great. And box modeling a base model never looks great. It just looks like some noob stepped into the fray. But the technique of learning how to do this, what you're learning here is how to just make shapes quickly. You're not trying to make them look good. You're not trying to make them correct. You're trying to make shapes quickly. And that's often a problem for people when modeling. Even myself, when I've done this millions of times, it just goes slowly sometimes. Sometimes you look at something, as you can see, I'm starting to become, the longer I'm doing this, the more, I wouldn't say accurate. Yeah, I guess I could say accurate. I'm trying to be more accurate. And that's something you want to try and avoid when doing this stuff. Try to avoid to be accurate. You know, just force yourself, forcefully thinking, no, I'm not trying to be accurate. Think that all the time. I'm not trying to be accurate. I'm trying to get shapes out quickly. Get shapes out quickly. It's all you want to think about. Shapes. Now, you can see this part, I'm kind of iffy about that part, but there's a curve there. So, I'm not sure what I'll do here. But keep thinking that. Keep thinking that you want to get shapes out quickly. Thinking that I want to do a double extension. Because I'm not liking how this looks. Yeah, I'm not liking it, so I'm just going to go back and I'm just going to do the bottom part. Oops. And the rest I'll fix in the detailing later. I might do this part over when I start to turbo smooth. Like so. Great, I like it. Get all the vertices in and scale it in towards the center. I don't know how thick that is because I can't see it from the side. I don't even know if it goes out towards the back there. That's always something that's kind of annoying and that you just have to live with. Now, there also comes a question, do you want to connect this up? Not now. I'm not going to connect this up right now. I might do the connection later. messed it up there. Yeah. Move it down. And in, like so. Now this is this is the part I'm talking about. Well, am I going to connect it? Am I not? Well, I don't know. Not yet. Not yet. I'm gonna leave it as is until later. All right. Are we satisfied? Yeah. Yeah, it's okay. Can probably inset this, but I'm not sure if I want an inset, considering I'm going to, you know, if you want to make a turbo smooth later, an inset can create issues, which means that the hole there, I'm going to wait until I get to the turbo smoothing part. Now the back panel, there seems to be a brace between the model and the buttstock, but this seems to slide all the way back there. And there's some sort of a brace there that I'm not going to model. So yeah, I think I'm going to just make a simple box for the magazine, which is easy enough. Oh. No. Yeah, this model is obviously not wide enough. You can easily tell that from how thick the magazine gets. It's supposed to be a lot thicker than that. But scaling and stuff, something I'll do later. I'll probably just compare it to the other guns that I've made and sort of get the sense and scale for it. Now this thing has 3 like lines that goes through it, which I can probably add. Hide unselected? No, it's not gonna work. Hide selection? No, that's not gonna work either. Where does it go up to? All the way up there? Connect this 3 times. Here I'm going to have to get my magic material and make it 20%. And so that I can see better. Line it up. With the lines there. And actually these two, this middle one has sort of a weird line. They're different. So I'm going to loop that, chamfer it. Chamfer it once. This I'm going to leave for the moment. This I'm going to, I wasn't greatly aligned. Just gonna move it a little bit. There, I'm going to ring it up and chamfer that. Oh, there excuse me, that was an error. Loop it up and chamfer it twice. Like so. Then, to be honest, I can't really tell what this does. Sort of just an indent. all the way down, but it doesn't really go to the edge like this one does and this one does. So let's fix that, turn that back to up to 100. The opacity. Kind of bevel that, set it to 1, 1, and scale it in just a tad. Can't really tell what's going on. Confused. Yeah, it's coming out. We want it to go in a millimeter. See what I'm noticing right now? I'm noticing that I am being too focused on detail. This is a detail thing. Don't do this. And I get sort of annoyed at myself for doing this. But you know, once I've started, it's kind of hard to stop. Indent right there, the final part. F that, basically. And hide all, just apply a smooth modifier to it to get some facet edges, and model the last part, which is basically also going to be just a box. Really annoyed at myself for wasting so much time on that. So align this up. It seems to be a little bit wider than the magazine itself. And it seems to have sort of a curve to it in the actual model, but I'm not going to bother with that right now. Create this. Yeah, don't bother with all that stuff. Just create the basic shapes. Connect it twice. Slide it out and up a little bit because, oh, why not? It's about there. It's gonna have to be manually scaled. Scale it out to about there, and this inwards to about there. And then extrude inwards, meaning a -1. Oh, accept the extrude, of course. And notice the shapes in the middle. One down south. Slide them up to about there. Chamfer it. See that I did the wrong thing first. again. Chamfer them. Of course I didn't. Yeah. Annoying shape that you can't really tell is there. Annoying, annoying, annoying. Whatever. Let it be. Don't dwell on it. Because if you do, it's gonna bite you in the ass. So I guess we're running out of time now. Just gonna start on the, I'm going to make beginning of the barrel, I think, with a cylinder, of course, since the barrel is cylindrical. Auto grid it. It's about in the center here. Turn down the height segments and make 8 sides. Convert it to an editable polygon. See it from this side. Don't care about the indents right there just yet. Scale the entire thing down a bit. Yeah, and the flash suppressor, the muzzle brake. It's a complicated piece. That is not worthy to detail straight away, but I will, quote unquote, oh, what happened? This is what happened. Detail it slightly. As you can see, the muzzle brake has the escape holes for the gases to escape. So I'm going to detail that part since it's really significant. And I'm just using the rest of the time that I have now, basically to just add a little bit to the model. Making inside stuff, that's always annoying. So we extrude it back even more. And do a simple, simple remove. On that. And this should be bridgeable. No, this won't be bridgeable. This will be bridgeable. So will that, and the rest can be capped. Like so. Now the gas chamber and the front iron sight posts I won't be doing right now. Modeling the buttstock. Oh, I'm not gonna have time for that in this video. So that's how far as we got for the first part of basically the how to make a base model for a Scar H. And thank you for watching. If you stuck through this entire thing, it's pretty long. Maybe I split it up in two, I'm not sure. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.